season is upon us. We got more food than Golden Corral.
I'm glad you're here, though. I'm sure glad you're here. I like that coach.
He hang backside. He stayed on it. I don't know what for. I'm sorry, man.
As far as the 3-4 goes, I thought there was a little confusion. I thought the guys adapted well.
I'm officially running for Senate. Joe T. Robinson is my running mate.
Mitch, I'm going to let you get out of the chair. It looks like you're about to break.
Oh, yeah. I think it's important to me.
I got one question for you. How does this game remind you of your forefathers?
Next week, hopefully.
Come on home! Woo!
New season, but we got the same Mitch Petrus joining us for another year to break down the Hogs. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Good to be here.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta love that. Are you kidding me? You were laughing the entire time.
Well, that's great. I'm glad y'all did that. That's a really good intro. Oh, we threw it together. I don't see you in there at all. I appreciate it, though.
Well, because you're the reason. People want to watch you. You're the reason. I mean, people watch you on the show and also for Fearless, man.
Yes, sir.
I'm still disappointed you didn't go full on out with the Kiki Challenge.
Oh, God. I got to figure out what we're going to do next week. That's what we're thinking about right now. We're watching the store, folks. We're going to have something special.
Oh, yeah. No question about that. He's a treat every single week. All right. Obviously, Razorbacks kick off the season on Saturday, kind of wanting to preview the season a little bit with you. The last time we got to talk with you was near the end of last season. I didn't really get a chance to ask you your thoughts about the hiring of Chad Morris. What was your reaction with the new hire and this entire coaching staff, and what can this coaching staff do with this program?
I like the hire. I mean, it's hard to say right now what's going to happen, but I thought it's a good hire. I worked at the Capitol earlier this year. I was able to meet Chad Morris. He came into my office and took a picture together, and he let me come to practice for a few days in spring ball. He let me sit in the meetings with the offensive line, and I tell you that from my takeaway from it, we don't look very strong up front. We got some size, but we don't look very strong on O-line or D-line, and that's one thing I'm thinking we're going to struggle at. Not to say that we're not. I'm not knocking them in any way, but when the paper comes up and says our whole line is beat up, our struggle, or very few people on the offensive line when we're already beat up. I mean, we haven't played a game yet. Come on, guys. I mean, that's not. That's what I'm like. We got to be ready to go out through this whole regular season here, and then hopefully, if we do get up to a bowl game, which I think that's going to be, if we do, that'd be great. I think that's going to be a hard thing to do right this year with Chad Morris. First thing, when you have a new coach coming in, it's like you're learning the system instead of trying to perfect it. You've got certain things you're just trying to memorize to the T. It's like it takes a while. Once you get them memorized, then you can start to try to perfect it. But that, along with our size, we're going to struggle throughout sometimes this year. I think Chad Morris is going to need time to help build this program. We need to ask the state to give him that time.
Right. And the one thing I want to say, too, is that this is very similar to a team that I covered a couple years ago. My first stop was in Eugene, Oregon. I covered Oregon State. They went through a transition from Mike Riley, who ran a pro-style offense, to Gary Anderson, who liked to bring in the spread offense. And obviously, it was a lot of difficulty with that offense trying to adjust from that pro-style to that spread. And they finished with a 2-10 season. Now, I'm not comparing that to Arkansas whatsoever. It's a different world out there on the West Coast with Pac-12 compared to the SEC. But that's the one thing that I'm going to be – yeah, exactly. That's the one thing I'm going to be interested to see this year is how does this Razorback team adjust to Chad Morris and the new offensive scheme and all that kind of stuff.
Even though it's like you get certain meeting time, but the SEC only allows you so much, and it's like you want to throw in enough they can memorize. It's like it really takes 2 years to pull it in a full playbook. It's like you can put in half of it, get your basics down, and then you want to start game planning for each opponent because you're not going to run your whole game book every week. Which you're going to be game specific, and it's really hard for the first year, the limited time that you have. Because trust me, it's like a chemistry class on some of these offenses trying to learn and get stuff memorized. It's hard for them to do in 1 year with on a short term. But I think Coach Morris, I wouldn't watch their practice. Their practice is high tempo, very fast. Getting in and out of the huddle. I like that. I like his pace. And I hear him say stuff like, "Hey, we don't tackle. We're going to, but we're not tackling right now."
John Chavis has said that a lot too at a couple practices.
Right, and I agree with that. I mean, it's like they know where they stand. Coach Chad Morris knows where they are. They're going to where they're going to struggle, and he's looking to improve on that. It's not like he's blind to the situation.
Right. You know why I'm also glad you're here, other than just being a good friend?
Why is that?
Because you are the perfect person to talk about the offensive line. I know you just talked about it just a second ago, but like we mentioned, they've had so many injuries throughout this offseason, and obviously people are looking for a big bounce-back performance by them because there were so many times when Austin Allen was lying on his back last year. What do you see from the offensive line?
We were at the top of the conference last year in sacks allowed, and it's really embarrassing. And it's been like that for a couple of years. It's like we've been doing this 2 or 3 years now, and every time we come in, it's like our biggest loss is the reason's been for the offensive line.
Yep.
You know, like,
believe me, those 4-minute rants you always go on. Believe me, the viewers remember those the last couple of years.
Well, I just try to speak from the truth, speak my heart, because that's the way I feel. I mean, and that's really been the problem. You know, and we need a little more size up front. Like right now, I think our strongest part on the team is going to be our defensive secondary. You know, with Pulley in there, and I think that our O-line and D-line, we got good size. Like we're going to learn how to smash them guys. And when you've got a beat-up offensive line, you haven't played one game yet, we got a problem. You know, it cannot happen that way. So that's what I think I want to see throughout the season. We got to get some headbangers in there, somebody strong mentally, not just physically.
You talk about bringing the pressure. John Chavis coming to Fayetteville. Obviously, that's going to be very exciting to watch. Defenses really blitz the quarterback this time around with this new coaching staff. What do you see from this defense?
I like it. Here's one thing that I like our speed. We need a little more size up front, but I think our speed are able to cover the pass. And one thing is, when we blitz, your corners are going to need. They're going to be man to man a lot of the time. Sometimes you cover free. He goes man to man, and you've got to have athletes to do that. I think we've got athletes on the secondary to be able to cover when we do blitz. But the biggest thing is they say you can guard those receivers with balloons if you get enough pressure on the quarterback. You know, and that's one thing. If we can create pressure and disrupt, that's going to be crucial to beating anybody. And I think our corners can cover as long as our defensive line can get to the quarterback. That's the name of the game. When they do dial up the blitz, we've got to make it happen. And I'm excited to see that. You know, I think our defensively we're more complete than our offensive line is. Our offense is. You know, we've got guys that can catch the ball on offense, but defensively. We've got more all-around package. I feel like we're still going to have, we're going to struggle at times with certain teams this year, but it's a lot easier, I think, to come in and put a defense in 1 year than it is to learn a whole entire offense.
Right.
You know. So anyway, with that said, I'm anxious to see what happens. All
right, get you out of here on this for the last few minutes. What are your expectations for Arkansas this year? How do you see the season playing out?
And I'm not a guy that makes predictions, and as far as it's hard to say, because I don't want to knock Arkansas, but anytime you go through any coaching change, you're going to go through your growing pains. You're going to have some times where things aren't going too great for you, and you've got to hang in there, endure, and like the sign says with John Wayne on it, saw last night, says, "Don't like quitters much, son." You seen that?
Yeah,
Don't like quitters. Well, you can't quit, guys. We've got to hang in there and stick throughout. Stick to our knitting. We're going to have. Here's one thing about, like, especially with our offensive line. Once teams expose you, you've seen this. And you run it. You cannot stop a certain blitz. Teams are going to keep running the same thing over and over and over to get to the quarterback. I mean, we're going to have a little quarterback battle or whatever, but we like to give our quarterback time to make a pass so we can see the offense that Chad Morris is trying to install. You've got to have a great plan, great idea, but in a great scheme, but with no time to throw the ball, you're limited to what you can do.
Can I hear that John Wayne impression one more time?
Don't like quitters much, son.
Okay, that was okay. The John Wayne impression I always hear is like, "Don't like quitters too much, son."
That's it! Oh my God!
It was something like that. I don't know if that was good.
You are so good at impressions, yeah.
Thank you. I think I need to work on that probably. Mitch, appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
looking forward to this season. Excited to see how the Chad Morris era begins. Again, every Sunday you can find Mitch right here on Fox 16. We'll talk about the Hogs every single week.